The very first thing that we're looking at is called the specific purpose. And the specific purpose is a one single sentence. It's a statement, and it has your speech topic at the end. We will all start out by writing this, and these are very scripted kind of strategies where you're just going to use the same language and just add your content to it. So all of us will start out with "to inform my audience." So that's how you'll start this. Depending upon if you're going to talk about a concept or an idea or a process, you might use the word "about," or you might use the word "how." Because if you're going to tell me to inform my audience how to solder pipes, then I might actually use "how." But if I was going to talk about, and I'll use this as an example today and throughout the class, if I was going to talk about to inform my audience about going to amusement parks, then that's not a process. That's about amusement parks. So the goal is to be able to have your precise, narrowed down topic identified so you can say it for yourself, and then you'll be able to repeat it multiple times in your speech, so it'll be very clear to your listeners exactly what your speech is about. And we'll get some examples of that as we go along. One thing that we see here is avoid the word "and." So do not use the word "and." So I'm saying don't use the word "and." And that's because "and" suggests there's another idea. It's a conjunction. We're adding on something else. Your topic should be narrowed and precise and specific enough that it has all your ideas right in it without having the word "and." So again, to inform my audience about going to amusement parks, to inform my audience how to solder pipes, right? So that's not an "and," that's there. So that's the first part. Again, we're going to look at some examples, and I'm going to have you practice some examples as the class so we can really understand what we mean by a narrow topic. Once we have a narrow topic, then we're able to use repetition of just repeating that precise narrow topic exactly as we have it here, right here. And this is our central idea. And then we're able to say that in one single statement, exactly how we have divided our speech. So let me just say right now that a central idea is not a thesis. It's not a thesis statement. A thesis statement is a claim statement that you might make that you're going to prove. So for example, if I were to say, going to amusement parks is fun, then that's what I would be proving in my speech. My speech would not be about just teaching you about fun. It would be about trying to prove to you that it is fun. Well, that's not what these speeches are focused on a claim statement. What is the central idea is the tool that allows you to write out how you have divided your speech into 2 to 5 main points. And when I say main points, you might be able to just think about a paragraph. It's like each main point or each paragraph has one single major idea that you're trying to accomplish. So for example, if I was going to say, to inform my audience about going to amusement parks, I might say here, going to amusement parks involves rides, games, and foods. And so just you seeing that or hearing that, or me identifying that, you would know I'd have 3 main points, one on rides, one on games, one on food. They would come in that same organization, rides first, games next, foods last. And I would use the same language in my central idea that I would use in my main points, because again, that precise concrete language helps with memory. If I was writing and doing a written communication, then I might use more synonyms, and that might be a way of using style. But this way, it's more about having that precise language that reinforces what you're talking about. Because what we know, people will go in and out as they listen, just like we're all doing, in and out as we're listening. So if that's what we're doing, then we know our listeners will be doing that. So these structures will help if people have missed certain things that we said before. What you can see here, and this is the hardest part. Ultimately, the hardest part is dividing your speech topic into 2 to 5 main points. Okay. Can someone just give me a verbal shout out that things are running smoothly on your end?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Good. So the hardest part is this idea of dividing your speech topic into those 2 to 5 main points. And once you decide that, then that is really what helps you to say, oh, I know a lot about amusement parks, but I'm not going to be talking about everything I know about amusement parks. And my speech is going to be about rides, games, and foods. So if I have 5 to 6 minutes, one of the goals is dividing my speech into balanced main points where I talk about rides about the same amount of time as I talk about games and I talk about food almost equally for my speech. So if we have 5 to 6 minutes, we might be spending a minute and a half or so per main point to develop that. So what that shows you here is when you have 2 main points, if my speech was just going to talk to you about rides at amusement parks, then I might have 2 main points, one on adult rides, one on kid rides. And I could go into much more detail about rides at amusement parks because I only had, that's all I'm going to talk about. But if my speech has more main points, I can't give you as much detail about it. So when you're deciding your speech for the number of main points, know that if you have fewer main points, and we always have at least 2 main points, that's the standard when we're looking at strategies of how to build a speech, having a couple of main points is a standard strategy practice here. Know that you'd have 2.5 minutes to develop each main point. If I had 5 main points, I would have like a minute or less for each main point. So I would talk very generally about each idea compared to giving more and more examples to help support whatever the idea is. So that's just something to think about. Now, for some of us, it may be really easy to organize our speech because we might do a timed speech where we're going to do something where steps in a process. You first do this, you next do that, the third you do this, and that's really easy organization. For me, with my speech with regard to going to an amusement park, it's a topical speech. I could talk about rides first, I could talk about games first, I could talk about foods first. It's up to me to decide how I want to organize the categories. Even though it is not sequential in the sense of do this first, do this second, or do this third, you might have topics where you want to say, okay, I want to teach you about this first because I'm going to build on that knowledge that we're going to use next. And really what speeches are about, informational speeches, if you can just think about it, they're really about how to do something, or what something is. And that's primarily what speeches are about, hows and what. And sometimes you can throw in why there, because people might want to know the reasoning why you do something, and it's helpful to understand this is why you do that. So here's what it is, here's why you do it, here's how you do it. Here's what it is, and it can be all that in one main point. It can be, those could be major main points. What it is, you know, how to do, why you do it, and how you do it. So just some thinking here. As you're processing what your own speech might be about, the what's, the whys, and the hows, and how to divide it into 2 to 5 main points. Now, if I'm thinking about a process speech, such as something like, well, something like making class appropriate brownies, okay? Say that was going to be my speech, making class appropriate brownies. You probably know that there's a recipe that would have more than 5 steps to it. But if our goal then is to say that we would have changing my view. If my goal then is to have 2 to 5 main points, then I have to think of the categories by which I can create those 2 to 5 main points of which my content would be organized in. So for example, with my class appropriate brownies, just give me a second here. With my class appropriate brownies, I might think about gathering my ingredients, gathering the resources I might need. So that might be one main point. If I think about the second main point, I might start mixing those ingredients together. So then all my steps with regard to the mixing process could be talked about. And then lastly, I might do something with baking the class appropriate brownies, and how I could talk about that. So then that's how you can take something like a recipe that might have more than 5 steps to it, and think about the chunks, how you're chunking the content together, so that way you can be able to have 2 to 5 main points by which you build those specific ideas to. And the research supports that having categories, we can remember the larger general categories, and by having those larger general categories, it helps us hook the specific content to it. So it's creating the schema by how we organize our thinking. And it's like if I was talking about rides at amusement parks, we've all heard about, if I was talking about rides at amusement parks and I had two main points, one on adult rides and then one on kid rides, that seems very familiar to a lot of us, the idea of adult rides and kid rides. So I'm not even really creating the categories, I'm just using the categories by which then I can give detail to as part of that. So that's the specific purpose. One single sentence is a statement of your precise topic. The central idea, repeat the precise topic, and then be able to say what the main points are, and that's done as one single statement sentence as well. So to inform my audience about going to amusement parks involve rides, games, and foods. To inform my audience about making class-appropriate brownies, to make class-appropriate brownies, we need to gather, mix, and bake. And then that's all we're doing. And so by having that division, then as I'm deciding what to talk about or write about, it becomes easier because I know how I have divided the speech. So I'm not going to be talking about things in too much detail if I have three main points on rides, games, and foods, compared to if I was just doing a speech about rides at amusement parks. We want to talk about then your main points. Each main point we want to write as a single sentence as well. So all these are the same in the sense that we're writing a single sentence and making it a statement. So they're not questions, they're not multi-sentence, they're just one sentence that has all the content in it. And there's a pattern, just like we have a pattern here to inform my audience about, and just like we have a pattern here, speech topic, and then main points. This pattern is to use transitions, repeat your topic. So you have your speech topic, you can repeat here, and then put the new main point content at the end. And by doing this, all right, thank you for the text message or the chat message. By doing this, by using the transition, it helps for people to know, oh, I'm moving from one idea to the next idea. If you were reading something, you would see a paragraph that would signal to you visually as a reader that, oh, I'm going from one idea to the next idea because there's a new paragraph here. As I'm listening to you speak, I do not see your written text. So that's why a transition such as first, second, next, also, in addition, those are all transitional words and phrases. Those help the listener know that you're moving on to another idea. Repeating the topic is that strategy that we said people could have missed it if we only said it once. So by repeating it, it's helping to reinforce, like, oh yeah, that's what Mark's speech is about, going to the amusement park, or it's about those class appropriate brownies. And then if you put the new idea at the end, it means that, oh, you signal that you're going to a new idea, you're reminding me of what the speech topic is, so you have a context, and now I'm ready to know what the new idea is that you're going to have for a main point. And each main point is a single idea. So gathering, or mixing, or baking, they're single ideas. Rides, games, food, they're single ideas. So you're trying to also avoid using the word "and" as part of the main point to show a single idea. And again, they're balanced, meaning that they're somewhat equal in the amount of time. And for us, when I'm saying balance, that's really about 30 seconds. There's or a 75-word difference between one main point and the next main point. And that's what a main point, that's what we're looking for that what's called parallel language. We're trying to write in parallel structure. So every time we have a main point, we write it in the same way so they look like the same ideas. Okay, so let's to the assignment page. Your work would look just like this, but it would be your own speech topic. So to inform my audience, and this is a process speech, how to create their own web pages. In creating one's own web page, or repeating this precise topic, there are 4 main steps that involve deciding, designing, formatting, and uploading. When I look down here, I see 4 main points, 1, 2, 3, 4. They have the same language of decide, and they're in this order: deciding, designing, formatting, and uploading. So it matches the order, it matches the language. And then we look at how we word the main points in parallel language. The first step, the second step, the third step, the fourth step, repeat the main point, creating one's own web page, We see that. And then we see the new main point content at the end. It actually, these all end in ing, which is another strategy for memory. A lot of these strategies come from oral tradition. For example, poetry, where we use certain kinds of structures because it was oral communication. We wanted people to remember things. So rhyme, rhythm, and those types of patterns were used because they help people with memory. So if we do all this work as a person composing a speech, it increases the opportunity for our listeners to remember what we're talking about. It helps them follow along. It can help them remember as well. Just recently, I received some feedback from somebody who had listened to a presentation I did several years ago, and they were able to tell me things from my presentation. And I was surprised because I didn't remember that much myself, what the person had remembered. And their emphasis was talking about the structure that I used and how that structure was really helpful for them as a listener to be able to focus on what I was talking about. So it was reinforcing just even some of the structure, how it can be helpful with that even long-term memory. Here's another example, to inform my audience about. So this is not a process. These are about concepts. So to inform my audience about major alternative fuel cards now being developed. So I repeat my topic here. Notice these are all just statements and single sentences with one idea. There's no and here. The major alternative fuel cards now being developed are powered by electricity, natural gas, methanol, and hydrogen. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're in the same order: electricity, natural gas. Yep. So I've done everything lines up. These are all Roman numerals, and we use Roman numerals to be able to identify what we'll use in the outlining. So I'm asking you to use these Roman numerals as part of our process. Excuse me. And then we see transitions: 1, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. And we see repetition, kind of alternative fuel car, kind of alternative fuel car, and we see that, and we have the new content at the end. This is why I said this is really easy to do once you do the work of your own thinking. What is my precise exact topic that I'm covering, and how am I going to divide that in 2 to 5 main points for a speech that lasts 5 to 6 minutes? And 5 to 6 minutes, that's your total speech. 75% of that time is given to the body of your speech, which is where we hear the main points. So you're giving 75% of your speech is just to that body part of it.